Hi, this is Tyler Jordan. I am now about to complete my YouTube assignment on the movie Mysterious Skin. Now, this movie was incredibly troubling and kind of horrifying and a little disturbing to say the least. A quick synopsis about the film: we have two childhood friends, or maybe not so much friends, but teammates. Uh, and when they were both young, they were sexually assaulted by their baseball coach. Now, this event seems to have two very different effects on the two kids. We have Neil. Now, Neil, he is played by the amazing Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He has a rough time, Neil. Neil ends up going through some stuff that I wouldn't really wish upon anybody. Neil ends up looking at certain magazines when he's growing up. He looks at Playgirl. He starts to see men in a more sexualized manner, and he ends up feeling, you get the feeling, at least in the beginning of the film, or more so to the middle of the film, that he kind of views him being raped by his coach as an initiation into homosexuality, which I thought was kind of a recurring interesting theme about sexuality versus actually being molested, and the line that seems convoluted to this kid, that there's a difference between being a homosexual and being sexually assaulted by a man. But that whole idea of initiation I found quite interesting. And you see for Neil, he kind of has a hard time because he doesn't really have a support system for himself. He has his mom, but his mom is, she has boyfriends in and out. Like he doesn't really feel comfortable around her or really the boyfriends at all. And there's not really anybody, stable within his life. Eventually we see Neil move to New York City, where he becomes a prostitute. Well, he's already a prostitute, becomes a prostitute at age 15. Then he moves to New York City where he continues it. But eventually he feels that he's almost giving a new perspective, a new lease on life, if you will, when he sees a homeless man who has AIDS. And all this man really wants is a back rub. And I kind of got from that, he's just so alone that this man on the street just wants somebody to he wants to feel the touch of somebody else because nobody else is given to him. I think Neil really responds to that in a certain way because he feels the same way almost, that ironically someone touching him has made him unable to have a healthy relationship. Then on the flip side you have Brian. Now Brian is able to completely block out what happened to him when he was younger, and he has these recurring nightmares where this hand, which was actually done, I thought, very tastefully, is like basically reaching out and touching him, molesting him. So what he gets from this, and he believes that he was abducted by aliens. And eventually he meets a girl named Evelyn, who he becomes friends with because she also believes she was abducted by aliens. And Evelyn eventually moves on him, makes it more of a sexual gesture towards him, and he freaks out. He can't handle it. He doesn't know why, and he gets violent and angry. Now for Brian, his parents during this time are going through a divorce, and what I found very interesting with him, and I think is actually quite common for people in this situation, is it's not that he so much doesn't remember the situation, he just completely blocks it out. He just remembers after the game, like waiting to get picked up, and then ends up under his house, bloodied and basically beat, and after he's molested, and he doesn't understand, where this is, how that linked up. So eventually the two meet each other. Eventually Brian wants to find Neil after he sees an old photo. So he goes and tries to find Neil, and they end up breaking into the old coach's house. And it's a very interesting scene where where Brian seems to finally come to the realization of what happens and just ends up breaking down. And really what I thought probably of the entire film, what was maybe the most creepy part of this film, was when Brian is breaking down, he's in Neil's arms, and you just hear Silent Night playing. I thought that was incredibly very not odd, I would say, but very very interesting choice, directorial choice. Overall, I thought this movie was very good. It was very disturbing, but it was very good. It was well acted. The overall theme of masculinity and really that being taken from these boys, you can kind of see that. You can kind of see the idea that they're not men, that they don't feel that they're men anymore. At least you see that a lot with Neil, that he's less of a man because of what happened to him. I mean, Neil just goes through some stuff. I mean, he's continually just beat down. I mean, when he's raped, also when the man basically drugs him, makes him do the line of cocaine or makes him do the cocaine, and then he gets raped again. It's some pretty rough stuff throughout this entire movie, and you see the complete opposites of what I wish this movie did more was it seems like it's just two opposite ends of the spectrum where it's just either you completely change your life as a person, you just become an awful, not a person that's going to be used all the time as Neil did, or for Brian where you just end up, no, it never happened, I'm going to pretend it never happened, or if it did, I sure as hell can't remember it. I kind of wish there was a little bit of a middle ground there, but I think the characters overall were portrayed very well. I would just say overall this film was just very kind of hard to watch, and it's one of those films that does really make you think, and it gets to you and it makes you feel uncomfortable, but a good kind of uncomfortable where you kind of have to see it in its firsthand. Man, would it be weird if this made me think about Little League? That's really all I got, Professor. Yeah, Mysterious Skin.